Matan Yaffe, the founding partner of Tikun 24. That's a 2024, pardon. That's an organization established by reservists like yourself to lead reform in Israeli society. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Before we get into your organization, tell me a little bit about what the past 4 months have been like for you as a reservist.
So I think these two are actually aligned because I'm already 39. I have 5 boys. I'm a father, so I'm relatively older. And I came to this war from a very diverse society that was here on October 6. But then on October 7, when we all kind of jumped back in, we met each other again. The people that we were protesting against one another suddenly met in the worst ever circumstances one can imagine. And we remembered that the differentiation between the politicians that are behaving in a certain way and the public who we met there in the battlefield is so big, and the contradiction between what we feel about the politician and what we feel about each other is immense. And but in that atmosphere for almost 100 days, you understand many things. And what we understood together, people from both sides, people who are protesting for and against the judicial reform, and people who lives in the West Bank and in Tel Aviv, what we understood is that we never want to go back again to the reality that was in Israel on October 6th, and we understand that that reality leads us directly to catastrophes like October 7th, and we are determined to stop that from happening. So we grouped up together people with different opinions, and we established together Tikun 2024 with the mission of Tikun is to fix in Hebrew, with the mission to fix.
Yes, so that's what I wanted to ask you. So as you mentioned for our English-speaking viewers, Tikun means fix, correction. In your eyes, what needs to be fixed within here in Israeli society?
I think many things needs to be fixed, but I think that the first and foremost, we need to understand that we must respect one another and speak to each other, understanding that we have a joint goal, which is the state of Israel. The fact is that for the past decade, but specifically for the past year, people from all sides of the political spectrum were mainly telling each other a story of why the person with the other opinion is your enemy. And on October 7th, we remembered who is the real enemy and who is our partner that we need to build together with. And it sounds superficial, but actually it's very deep, because I think that the political system and even the media are composed in a way that they try to highlight the extremes, because that's how they get traction. That's what sells. That's the business model. And when you go there, and the army, the reserve army, is not a startup company. It's not like 100 people.
It's from the entire country, diverse
thousands of people, diverse background, etc. And the fact that as a system it could hold, people say that there was no political conversation when we were in the battlefield. That's not true. There was. We talked about it all the time, and but we were able to do so in a respectful manner, in a way that we actually listened to one another, and then we went on missions together. It didn't break us apart. It didn't came between us and made us not believe in one another. On the contrary, we understood that actually, if we speak in a respectful manner, we can solve anything. So me and my partners who may hold different ideologies, I'm certain that if the political leaders that we have today in the Knesset were people that came out of the battlefield in the last 4 months, they could have solved every major challenge that Israel is
So
facing
Matan,
today.
how do you solve these challenges that we're facing?
I think that the first step on our hand is that we want the 120 Knesset member to give back the mandate for the people to choose the new people that should lead us in this way of tikkun. It's people who should understand that their first and foremost mission, the biggest mission they have, is to unite the people in Israel in order to actually tackle those big challenges that we have on the borders, on the finance, on every level. But we need new generation of leaders who understand these values of solidarity that were so powerful now in the battlefield and must replicate itself into the political system of Israel.
Matan, some critics will say this current government is a democratically elected government by the people.
It is, and I'm not saying anything against it. I'm just saying that this Knesset, not just this government, this Knesset was elected in a world that doesn't exist today. This world were shattered and slaughtered on October 7th, and now we need a different Knesset that is being elected in order to lead this tikkun, to lead the way into a different future. And I think that, in the army, the values of personal example, we say, dugma ishit, to set an example and responsibility is the benchmark for everything. And when you have this reality, our expectation is that our leaders, all of them from all the spectrum, will say, we are responsible for what happened, and the nation, the people, should re-elect the people who the people believe can lead them into this new reality that we're now in. And yeah.
Matan, we've been hearing the anthem, Together We Will Win. Reservists have echoed that message, and it's been really beautiful, to be honest, to see that unity of this country coming together after such divisions for so long. But my question to you is, do you believe that unity will continue after the war, or do you fear sometimes that maybe people here have a short memory?
The reason we established Tikun 2024 is because after 100 days of service, we came back to Israel, we came back to our reality, and we saw that very little has changed. The politicians here speak as if they're on October 6th. We are now seeing every week the protests are gaining more and more momentum, and we are tremendously fearful from going back into this reality. So to your question, I'm sure that that in the natural movement of things, we might go back to this separation, and that's why we established this organization by people who came from the Miluim, from the battlefield, who are who experience the differentiation between this reality and are determined to work together, put aside all the differences in order to bring Israel back to the center and not to the extremes. I think that we can go back to the old reality very easily, and hopefully we will be able to prevent it. We have a big event on Friday morning in Binyanei Hauman. We're going to present next week our roadmap to how we think what should happen now in reality, in the political reality, in order for us to not go back to these extremes and actually start making agreements between one another and build here a better future.
Matan Yaffe, a better future indeed. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.